Hey there, Johnny Mondi here, and I wanted to talk today about setting boundaries, specifically for men, and specifically a kind of no. So I'm talking to all of you that say yes far too often, that when you're at work, your boss says, hey, walks into the office or calls you on Teams or messages you on Teams or emails you and says, hey, can you do this? And inside you think, fuck no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather scratch out my own eyes, smash up the office, whatever it might be. And you say yes. Of course you will, that's no problem. Regardless of the fact that you haven't been able to accomplish all your other work or get anywhere with it. Or if a friend turns to you and says, hey, do you want to do this? Or your wife. And you think, I really don't want to do that, you know. I just want to be alone. I want to take time out for me and just do nothing. But you say yes. So that's what this is about. What is it that makes us care so much about what will happen if we say no? And just be curious about that now. So just take a second and think, okay, think of a situation where recently, if you can, chances are if you're watching this video, you can probably think of a recent something that happened recently to you where you really wanted to say no and you didn't. And once you've got it, just write down or think in that situation, and if you write, just let the pen write. This isn't a, don't engage your brain. Just let the pen write. What was it that stopped you saying no? And chances are, if you can go there, if it feels safe enough, you might come out with some heady stuff like, oh, if I say no, my boss, you know, will talk about me behind my back, or he'll favor some of my other colleagues, or something like that. But ultimately, the underlying fear is that if I say no, I won't be liked. If I say no, I'll be rejected. If I say no, I'm unlovable. So it's very much something about if I say no, then it means this about me, and it's not usually a good thing. Yeah, it's rare that we think if I say no, that's really cool. That's great. That's healthy boundaries. If you do think that, that's brilliant. I wouldn't bother watching the rest of this video. So chances are it's this fear that if you say no, and it is a fear, it's a real fear, and that's why I said don't think about it, because logically, you know that if you say no to your boss because he asks you to do a job, or you say no to your girlfriend or your wife because she wants you to do something, they're not going to leave you or hate you. You're not going to lose your job. You're not going to get divorced. You might get divorced. Chances are you won't get divorced. Um, and you can't explain it, but there's a fear. There's something underneath it. It says, if I say that's the thing that stops you saying no, because what you might find is I get quite a visceral when I know when I'm not setting healthy boundaries because I get an anxious feeling. So if somebody asks me to do something in my body, there's something in me that just says, nah, do you know what? I don't want to do it. I've got too much on. That's not for me. I get anxious because all I want to do is say no. And then if I say, yeah, 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 of course, that's not a problem, it's it's a disconnect between my body, my biology, my nervous system, everything. There's a disconnect between what I've said and what I'm feeling. And you're suppressing all that energy. And it comes out as a yes, of course. Of course I'll do that, no problem. And then what happens is we are literally shutting down. what we call a healthy protest. We're shutting down our no because of this fear that if we say no, then we won't be loved. And where does that come from? There's the terrible twos that everybody's heard so much about. And what happens is a 2-year-old, little bundle of joy running around. And it's where we start to learn to say no. We start to learn our boundaries and what we can get away with and what we can't. And in a perfect world, all our feelings, our emotions, our actions would be met appropriately. It's not a case of, well, no, good boys only do this, naughty boys get punished. And when that does happen, which of course happens, it shouldn't, but it does, we learn that, okay, this behavior, when I'm compliant, when I'm good, when I do as I'm told, I am lovable. I get love. I get approval. But when I'm naughty, I get scolded. I get punished. And it doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be that you got hit as a child for not doing what you were told. You know, that's the thing that we see. Okay, I'm lovable if I'm good. I'm not if I'm bad. It's almost that black and white. And then we split because we don't develop the ability to say no. We don't develop these healthy boundaries, and then that carries into our adult lives. As we get older, we don't have the ability, we don't have the resource to check with ourselves and say, do I want to do that? No, I don't. And then turn to the person to say, thank you, but no. You know, we're not we're not saying, and that's the other issue with it, is that we fear that if we say no, we're being confrontational or angry. It's not coming from a place of anger. And you can check now if you asked me to do something and I said, um, oh, actually, thanks for the offer, but no, that's not aggressive on my behalf. It shouldn't cause any disruptions between you and I, our relationship, our friendship. But we're still terrified because we're still stuck in that energetic feeling of the small boy that was told, good boys do as they're told. And that's the problem. That's why we have this inability to say no. And what you'll sometimes notice is a real frustration, a ball of energy, built up anger. It, I see it in people all the time. You can probably, it may be yourself, it may be people that you know, they're kind of 0 to 100. So they seem really calm. Picture this, the person always says yes to everything, really, really calm. Then one day they just, something flips in them and they explode. And you're like, whoa, where did that come from? I've asked you for more than that in the past. And that's what happens. My teacher calls it the lids. We suppress the no, we say no, big heavy lid on it. But sometimes the energy, the power of what we actually want, what's really healthy for us, overwhelms and it comes out. No, I won't do it. Um, and then unfortunately, when that does happen, the guilt and shame of, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that comes in, that lid gets shut straight back down. And we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Yes, of course, I'll do everything for the next year. I'll do anything you ask of me. I'm so sorry. Don't shoot me. Don't kill me. Don't reject me. Don't stop loving me. I'm so sorry. And it really is what happens. So the answer is, there is an answer. The good news is there is an answer, is to, as I mentioned at the start of this video, I waffle, is to be curious about what it is that stops you when you want to say no. Now, I'm not saying, again, don't start saying yes. Don't just start saying no to everything, because that very much becomes heady and, ugh, yes, if you went through life all of a sudden and started saying no to everything, maybe in the 10,000th time, it might be easier, but it doesn't really address the core issue. So the next time somebody asks you to do something, and it's absolutely fine if you say yes, it's absolutely fine if you say no. That's great. And if you do say yes, just reflect on it when you get home or when you finish for the day or when you get a few minutes to yourself and just say, actually, was that yes okay? And of course, sometimes, yeah, do you want to come out for a beer? Do you want to go and grab a coffee? You're like, yeah, I do actually. That's great. And that's fine. But if you said yes and you're like, really I didn't want to do that, then just ask yourself, just write, put pen to paper, don't engage your brain, just feel, just get a sense of what it was that stopped you from saying that no. Was it a feeling? Was it a sensation? And the more you do that, the more you drill into those emotions, and they're usually uncomfortable, they're usually difficult, they're not pleasant, unfortunately, I'm not going to lie. You start to see those, you shine a light onto them. And when we shine a light onto things, we see them for what they truly are. And more often than not, it's something that we didn't get as a child, it's an unmet need, an environmental failing. And we actually look at it not with disdain, not with hatred, not with anger. We see it then all of a sudden with compassion and love, and we see that it's actually a part of us. That thing that stops us saying no used to be a protective mechanism. It no longer serves us as adults, and in the here and now, we're okay to say no. It's actually not a big thing. Can you do this for me? No. Hmm. I'll leave you with that final thought. Just say no. Big love, John.